This thing here arrived, and this is the ACEMAGIC N150 mini PC, guys. I don't really test a lot of mini PCs on the channel, but I think it's about time me starting this because I do actually use a lot of those mini devices all over my house. What is so special about the new ACEMAGIC N150 Vista mini PC? For starters, it's equipped with the latest Intel Twin Lake N150 CPU that was just released a couple of months ago. This unit here has 16 gigs of RAM, M.2 SSD, half a terabyte storage, also USB 3.2 ports, also other USB ports, HDMI ports and Ethernet ports. It's actually a whole mini PC that is built for you to enjoy classical desktop experience, streaming YouTube videos, of course, with 4K resolution, and we're gonna be testing this, but also occasionally play some games, alright, not the highest, most graphically intense games, some indie games, emulation as well, and just use this as a normal desktop, which is something, of course, I'm going to test as well. And the design, let's check the design. Let's unbox it and see what we have inside. The box is way bigger than the unit itself. So, inside, what do we have? Mini PC, user menu. This is the unit itself, guys. It's absolutely stunning, but before we go there, let's check what we have else in the box. And here, guys, we have two additional items. So this is apparently the power outlet, and of course we do have an HDMI cable. And if you wonder what it is, yeah, this is a bracket that you can use to mount the mini PC on the top of your monitor. But guys, let's put everything aside and let's proceed with the main star of the show, the unit itself. Alright, I need to weigh this. 265 grams, guys. This is insane. Let me show you. This thing here is my Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, and yeah, it's with a case, but take a look at this, guys. 264 grams, alright? Just imagine how impressive this thing really is. And now, let's see what we have here. For faster setup, avoid Wi-Fi or LAN. Initially, connecting might trigger long updates, delaying desktop access. Scan and join Intel Inside. Alright, let's just remove this thing here. Ta-da! And this is the product itself. Oh, wow. You can see it really has a very nice, almost like metallic design. Here, guys, we do have a power button, USB 3.2, 2 ports, and also audio. Right, when we turn it to this side here, this is the back side, we have the ventilation, very cool. And on the back, guys, here, kindly note, for better setup, avoid LAN initially, connecting might trigger long updates and etc. and delay. We do have an HDMI and a display port that should support 4K 60, 2 additional USB ports, and here, guys, is where you stick the power. Now I'm going to hook it up, set it up, and one of the first things I'm gonna do, guys, is scan the hard drive, because last year there has been some controversy with some of the older ACEMAGIC devices that had some bad things on them. Apparently this issue should have been fixed, but I need to triple check and confirm. And of course I'm gonna be testing the hell out of it. What is the standard desktop experience with this baby? YouTube, browsing, then of course I'm gonna try to play some games, also emulation, everything that I pretty much do on a desktop. Now remember, guys, this thing here, although being very powerful compared to the previous generation N100, so the N150 is more powerful, but it's still meant to be used for lightweight desktoping. Okay, we are going to see what it can do. So here is the Vista mini PC, and I've connected it to my big TV, guys, and I'm already installing the setup. Now, the first thing I need to make sure is that this image is clean. Because of the things I just said before in the unboxing, there has been some bad experiences with previous versions of mini PC sent by ACEMAGIC. I really hope this is not the case here. So right now I did not connect this thing to my internet, and also it's quite a bit of peculiar when you start a machine, right? You can choose your country, set up your keyboard, then of course there is no Microsoft account, but the system tells you that without the internet you cannot log into the Microsoft account and use the full services. What we can see right now, there is apparently no ROM pre-installed, as was the case with the other devices. First thing I decided to do is a Microsoft Defender antivirus scan, and I went for the offline scan for obvious reasons, because sometimes if there is something inside the memory, Microsoft Defender might have some issues just getting to that thing. The scan is ongoing right now, and I hope that everything is going to check out before I connect this sweet little mini PC to my home network. You can just see how tiny this is, guys. Here I have the TalkStream player, which is running on Core Lake, and you can see this is almost the same size, but this is a full-fledged PC. So here we are, guys, doing yet another scan. I use the Clam Windows antivirus, I use Total AV, I use Bitdefender, I use the Microsoft Defender, and actually everything came really clean. But what I'm doing now, just to be 100% sure, guys, I have created the Kaspersky Rescue Tool. This that I burned actually on a USB stick and I booted from it. And why is this important, guys? Because when you're doing all these scans within Windows, some of these things can be quite clever and try to protect and hide themselves. And anyway, you don't have really exclusive access to all of the partitions. I was able to find a recovery folder with some scripts I'm gonna show now. I don't think that there is anything shady here, and again, all the checks are coming quite okay, and I hope that Kaspersky is going to do that as well. Speaking about the volumes, let me try to show you. This is what you'll have on the default setup, guys. So apparently there are some volumes here. The SDA1, this is the EFI, all right? So here we have some boot information. This is all required for Microsoft to be able to boot. So we have some localization, another thing as well here. And this here is the recovery partition, but I don't think anything shady here. So this is SDA1, this partition. Then we have the SDA3, and this is actually what your Windows will see. And guys, remember, this mini PC just comes with Windows 11 Pro pre-installed out of the box, which should be one of the main benefits, provided of course, yeah, it's all clean. Else of course we all end up with a very unpleasant and potentially dangerous experience. So this thing here is everything I have on my Windows C drive. By the way, there was a recovery folder that was hidden one, but again, guys, I was able to scrap all the contents there. I do not have the NDEV or NDIV exe, guys, that were causing issues and potentially infected. Here we do have some scripts, and I was able to check some of them. Again, I think that ACEMAGIC are trying to do this whole unintended setup Windows thing properly this time. How do I know this? Because see here, they are invoking the OOBE, which is an option for you as a user, you know, like if you want to do this manually to install Windows 11 and somehow bypass the part where you need to log in with a Microsoft account, because Microsoft Windows 11 requires you to log in with the MS account to be able to enjoy all the nice features. And of course there are some options to bypass these. Let's say when you burn the image with Rufus, there is a checkbox there that you can just say, hey, I want to skip this. Or while installing a standard ISO image directly downloaded from Microsoft, you can invoke the OOBE and just bypass this requirement. And I do believe that this is what they're trying to do here with After Image Apply CMD. This is the audit CMD that I guess also executes. I try to analyze this with the knowledge I have, and yep, something that really drew my attention. Apparently there is also an Xcopy command to copy CRYX RGB LED tool. This tool should be in the C drive recovery OEM folder in a different folder on its own, but when I go and analyze my folders, guys, I'm not able to find it. So when I go to recovery OEM, I have here in application practically zero. In desktop, practically there is nothing there. In info, right, there is a default folder. Here I check this, some localization settings, and again the OOBE that will automatically bypass the requirements from Microsoft to get on their system account. So then let's just go back and show you the other stuff, guys. If I go in the other folders here, right, we have scripts, the ones that we're showing right now, and then we have Ver. Try to open this and check. You can see here, nothing really so fancy, nothing potentially dangerous here. Then we can go to wallpaper. Again, that's an empty folder. Now let's go back to the scripts, and you can see it's trying to copy my 0 OEM button. Like those things, I don't really have them. They were never there on the unit that I received. And last but not least, we have the unattend XML. In the upper part, this script is trying to set your Windows ID, then apparently copy some backgrounds to be used as wallpapers that were actually never there. Disables development mode on the C drive, something I would usually do if I want to tinker with my PCs. We'll try to execute this command, and that's pretty much it, guys. So I was not really able to identify anything shady in the recovery folder. There is the hidden one, and nevertheless, guys, let's continue with the Kaspersky Rescue Tool. I'm now scanning, by the way, all the different volumes. So now let's just go back to the volumes. So this was SDA 3, SDA 4. You can see we have again a recovery folder, you know, with some logs. Reload XML, let's just try to check that one. Nothing shady here, I hope I'm not missing anything. Then we do have the SDB1, it's boot. EFI live. All right, let's just see here in boot group. Let's just go back to the Kaspersky Rescue 2 running on the USB, guys, and one of the main advantages of this is that it will bypass the Windows that is installed on your device. Not specifically on this mini PC, but on every other PC, so you can just use that as a live rescue tool to kind of boot and yeah, scan your drive. My advice is not particularly with ACEMAGIC, but every time you just buy something with anything pre-installed, just scan it so that you have internal peace and be reassured that there is nothing shady. Right, let's wait for this to finish and then I'm going to boot up on the ACEMAGIC and we're going to test the hell out of it. As you can see, the scan completed, processing error. Apparently there is this MSIX package and another one that I do believe is an exe file that were not able to be scanned, but yeah, scan completed and I wasn't able to detect anything. This was the USB stick that I was using with Kaspersky, and I'm gonna show you how to enter the BIOS and change the boot order, because now I need to do the same to be able to boot from the internal SSD drive. Again, HDMI connected to my 32-inch monitor, the power supply is here, you know, here this is my Bluetooth dongle for my keyboard and my mouse, and this is what I'm using to connect to a phone's mobile network, guys. Right, so now how do we enter in the BIOS, guys? I'm just going to turn the PC on. It's very important to press the escape key on your keyboard the moment you're gonna see the boot screen, all right, and this will then directly boot you in the BIOS. And from the BIOS, of course, we can also try to check some of the system information. Let me try to show you guys. So it's American Megatrends, and you can see that the build date and time is late December or last year, so this thing is really brand new. So is the chip, by the way. The processing information all checks out. The Alder Lake ULX, it's Intel N150. Total memory that we have here, guys, is 16G, and this is the memory frequency. If I now go to the CPU configuration, you're gonna see that virtualization is enabled as well as hyper-threading, and this is important if you want to go and do some VMs and environment and just do like some random stuff, programming, why not? CPU power management control, guys. I wanted to show this because I do believe it's important. The platform PL1 and also PL2 power are set to 15 watts. You can play with this, but my advice is don't really touch it. Like, this unit is built to really work on 15 watts and deliver, by the way, a very good performance with 15 watts. You're gonna see this. We do have the memory configuration. Something that is very important besides the timing that you can see here, like 1990, 9043. This is a single chip, guys, all right? So we don't have here any dual channel options. It's a single chip, but the good thing is you apparently can change the 16G and put more RAM if you want. And how, guys, now we do boot back to the SSD? Well, we have to go to the boot section and then we have to go to the fixed order of boot priorities. So the first one was the USB device that I was using to boot with Kaspersky, and check it. So I'm gonna click it and I'm going to just put here this thing. It's the hardest Windows boot manager, and this is indeed the internal SSD drive. We can see 512G, and I'm gonna press save changes and exit. And now we should be able to see the boot screen. When you boot the system for the first time and you see AMI Power Manage Secure, this is the time to press escape, and this is the way for you to go in the BIOS. But as you can see, booting time is just very good. All right, I will now enter back in the desktop and walk you through everything that this machine can do. I installed also a lot of software on my own. I really try to make this machine mine, the way I use it with my tools, just to be able to understand how good it works. By the way, it is also connected to Wi-Fi, as you can see, no cables there, right? But you have also the option to just connect it to your LAN port, which I pretty much did. And also, guys, I was using my phone with the USB tethering connection and get crazy speed over 5G, like 3 to 400 megabits. Absolutely astonishing. And now back to the specs. If I press the right button here, guys, you're gonna see this is running on the latest Intel N150. Twin Lake N150, guys, is built on a 10nm process and has 4 cores, 4 threads, and it can go up to 3.6 GHz. So let's check the information. Intel Core, Alder Lake. Now, guys, the version that I have works with 15 watts. Some of the vendors can put up to 25 watts, but as you're gonna see later in the video, it's just impressive the performance that we are able to get with max performance of 15 watts, which is almost like what modern smartphones will just burn out when they're under extreme power. Let's go back to the memory. We have DDR4, 16 gigabytes, guys. That's a single chip, which means that we are using a single channel, so no dual channel here. If we go to the graphics, you can see that this is so new, even the tool is not able to just tell you. I tried to also load up the GPU Z by Tech Power Up. It was pretty much the same. So this unit has an integrated GPU by Intel that has 24 execution units, right? So you can see there are still a bit of a details here, but even the GPU Z says, hey, that's brand new. I don't really know what it is. So we have OpenCL, we have Vulkan, we have Direct Compute, we have DirectML OpenGL. Of course, no CUDA, no ray tracing here. Now, this isn't really something by NVIDIA. This is also the software that we get with it. Explore the Intel GPU family. And from here, you're able to tweak some of the display settings and also some of the video settings. Now, guys, let me tell you that I'm running this on a 4K resolution. If I click from the display settings to adjust my resolution, you can see that I'm running the mini PC already at 3840 at 2160, which is the recommended one. I'm using a 32-inch screen. Also, we have the option to choose HDR, because what Intel did with the N150, right, it supports the latest AV1 codecs, 4K HDR 60 FPS. And by the way, the HDMI port here should be version 2.0. Down beneath, we do have also display port, guys. So remember, 2 USBs here, 2.0. On the front, we have another 2 USBs, and those one are 3.2. This is a decision by ACEMAGIC. Some of the other vendors can go with a different configuration, but this is what we have here, guys. I'm gonna leave the HDR on, guys, and because I said that this thing is able really to output 4K with 60 FPS and HDR, I'm gonna show you first thing some sample videos. So I'm gonna start with the first one. That is a sample video by Sony. Let's just see how this thing is gonna run. All right, you can see this not that bad at all. I'm gonna try to put it also on the full screen, guys. And by the way, this is why I decided to record my screen and not do a screen recording from the unit, to not really try to undermine the capabilities and the processing. So you can see it's pretty impressive, it's HDR, and it does really run in 60 FPS. Later on, when I do show you the games with the MSI Afterburner and with the Riva Tuner, we're going to be exploring also FPS frame rates, but it's just impressive what this thing can do. 4K HDR, play it, absolutely not a problem at all. Let's try to minimize this. All right, I can just maximize, minimize. Of course, sometimes it's going to be these small lags, but let me show you something that I believe is impressive, guys, because remember, this thing is supposed to work with 15 watts maximum. I'm going to down below also leave the task manager so that you can see what happens. And if I go here to the performance, you can see the individual cores, right, the way they're loaded up right now. Also, what I want to check while displaying this video is temperature and some other things. So right now we do have like 27, 28 on the assembly, guys, and we do have something like 44 on the cores. And just take a look at this, guys, right? It's consuming 6-7 watts. All right, and the maximum watts during the session was already like 12 watts. So it's able to output 4K HDR and still do a great job and just burn 6 watts. This is cool. I have, of course, more samples, so let's just click and show you the other sample. It's another one, 4K 60 FPS. This one is H265, and you can see how impressive this works. And I can also try to put it on the big screen. So for home theater purposes, guys, if you want to enjoy 4K 60 and be able to use 10-bit HDR and also AV1, yeah, this thing will fly. And the chip should also be able to support Dolby with 7.1, no Dolby Vision or Atmos, that's what I read online, but still impressive performance. And remember, like something that pretty much fits in your palm. All right, guys, let's continue the testing because I have to show you so many things, and I really hope that you will enjoy this video. And if that's the case, just make sure to watch some of my other videos. I do cover a lot of things, from apparently mini PCs, smartphones, smart home photography, yeah, a lot of things. When you first boot in the device, this is what you're going to see. There is a folder called Windows. Now, the first thing I always do is I go in the settings and make sure to be able to see all the hidden files and also to be able to check all the files extensions. Now, the first thing that drew my mind was this recovery folder, and you're not able to really access it through the Explorer even with admin access, but for that I used my old friend, the Total Commander. With Total Commander, guys, you are able to access the the recovery folder, provided that you give it admin access. So what I did, guys, I have just taken everything from the recovery folder and I put it here into another folder. I really wanted to be sure that this box is free of malware, so I did scan this extensively. I wasn't able to find anything else. And not only this, you might have seen the first part of the video where I used the Kaspersky Rescue Disk to check everything, all the partitions. Then, guys, when I went into Windows, I installed Bitdefender, ClamWin, and I scanned also this thing with Defender offline. And then of course I'm also using Malwarebytes just to make sure that everything is safe. And now I'm showing you the results. So this was the Bitdefender device assessment scan, like it wasn't able to find any threats. Then I used the ClamWin, and by the way, this thing is really slow, but anyway, free to use. Nothing here discovered in the memory with this thing here. You can also see here my Defender shot. I did first a full scan directly from Windows, but then I did also an offline shot, and this is what I did with the Malwarebytes. But when I was checking with Malwarebytes, guys, I also used the latest Microsoft Windows malicious software removal tool to make sure that there isn't anything fishy. And from what I've seen, yeah, I can confirm that this thing is clean. I really hope that I'm not missing anything. Besides this, I used the Total AV software to perform a scan and see what we have inside, and the only thing it was able to find was like one tracking cookie. So this time, at least with this box, I do believe that ACEMAGIC really did it right, and I hope that I'm not missing anything. I went and checked all the scripts that are included here, and I wasn't able to find something fishy. For ACEMAGIC to make it easier for the users when they turn on the box, you can even find this nice sticker on the LAN port that says, hey, just don't connect before you start because some update process is gonna start and you're gonna have more issues. Of course, you can always do this. I really did it like they said it. And you can also find, by the way, this tip here. For faster setup, avoid Wi-Fi or LAN initially. Connecting might trigger long updates, delaying desktop access. And the way they are doing it right now to bypass the requirement of a Microsoft account with Windows 11 setup is OOBE. And you can check, this seems to be a legit approach. You can also do this with your own image. If you want to go in that direction, by the way, I will give you some very nice tips, guys. So again, I wasn't able to identify anything shady, and yep, I might have missed something, but I did everything that I was able to do to scan this thing thoroughly, and I do believe that this is quite legit and clean. But because I said that I'm gonna help you, if you want to just go and set it up with your own image, you need to know some important facts. And the first thing is, guys, this thing is brand new. Like the Intel Twin Lake N150 was released, I think, October last year. So there might be some drivers that you're going to require. But this is very easy, guys, because there is a very simple command that you need to execute from PowerShell to back up all your current drivers. How does this work? We can just go and open a search box, then click on PowerShell, right? It's not the standard CMD. Inside the PowerShell, guys, this is the command that you will need to run. I, by the way, created the backup folder already. The moment you press this command, it will scrap all your drivers and it will store them in the folder you have selected. In my case, this is on my C drive. If I go here, backup, you can see now I have all drivers here. So what I can do right now, I can scan this one more time. If I need to, I can back this up somewhere else and then just try to install my own Windows image. But anyway, guys, because I really wanted to test how this thing works out of the box, I'm testing it with the image supplied by ACEMAGIC. And what we need to know, that is kind of cool to just get a tiny box like this, hook it up with your peripherals, and I'm, by the way, just using this transmitter for my keyboard and my mouse, and then boom, you have a full-fledged standard Windows environment. But we need to also make sure that this environment is not compromised, and this is why the accident from last year wasn't okay, and I hope that this thing is now in the past. At least with this unit, I don't have any issues, and I really hope that ACEMAGIC will stick to this, guys, because I believe it's really important. The security, guys, that we have on our PCs, online, everywhere, is very important for our digital life. And sometimes it can even impact your real life. Just imagine all your passwords stolen or your accounts, your YouTube channel. So we have to pay attention and proceed with heavy scrutiny. Enough about this, let's go back and continue my testing. The unit comes with a 0.5 terabyte SSD drive, but What we need to know is that you can just open the box, remove what we have there and put a bigger, I think up to 2 terabytes NVMe and just get even better performance. And speaking about this performance, now we're going to use Crystal Disk Mark to check the read and write performance. Let's see what is going to happen. And here we are with all rounds, and you can see that the highest read speed was 561 megabytes, guys. This is not megabits, of course, it's megabytes. And the write speed was 503 megabytes per second, which isn't that bad. And remember, you can just scrap the SSD and just put a proper NVMe and have even better speed. Alright guys, now it's time for some more benchmarks. So the first thing I'm going to start is actually Cinebench. Let's see how much we're gonna get in Cinebench. This thing is gonna put a lot of heavy load to the box, and I want you to listen to something. See here guys. This thing is absolutely noiseless, but actually does have fans. We have this grill on the right side and also on the left side, and down below, right, we do have also proper ventilation. All right, guys, I've started the first test. It is testing the multi-core, like all 4 cores. And on the right, we can check how much power this thing burns. As we can see right now, we're almost hitting like the peak 15 watts, sometimes guys even going more than 16. Now, by the way, from the BIOS, you're able to adjust those settings, but again, ACEMAGIC is recommending 15 watts. Some of the other vendors are implementing this with a hard threshold with like 25 watts. For now, I'm just going to keep the stock setting. So we are absolutely maxing it right now. And on the cores, we already have 68 Celsius. And guys, we can also see how much volts is the GPU consuming. All right, now let's see what the test is going to give us, because it's still preparing the project. While we're doing the test on the multi-cores, we can see that the consumption is almost the maximum one, and the CPU cores, guys, already are at 76, because this really puts a lot of strain. You can also check here 100% allocation inside the task manager. What is so interesting to see is right now all the cores are not even going to the maximum clock they have, which is, I guess, 3.6 gigahertz, which is understood because this thing is putting a lot of strain on, I guess, the GPU as well. And of course, being a mini PC, we don't have the most powerful GPU here, but let's see how much we're gonna get at the end of the test. I do believe that Cinebench was probably a bit too much for the Vista mini PC because it just crashed. And guys, anyway, this is why I am testing the unit. Now, you're not really supposed to run Cinebench on devices like this. It was important for us to understand how much this baby can do, so that we pretty much are able to compare this with the performance we're gonna get from a proper PC. And now we have a chance to experience the boot and loading time again, which is very impressive. The moment you press the key, maybe 10 to like 15 seconds, you're going to be greeted with the Windows 11 welcome screen. Here we are, so I will now reload in. After the restart, I started Cinebench again, and we can still see that the cores are at 65 Celsius, and we are consuming like 14 watts. So it really put a lot of strain on the PC. Now guys, we are not able to get anywhere close to the results here, but nevertheless, I'm also going to initiate a single core test and just see what is going to happen under load. But what we already were able to understand is that under load with like 15 watts with Cinebench, that is a very hard and tough test, we are able to get the cores to like 75 Celsius, and this is far from ideal. But another reason for doing so is just to see what the fans are going to do and like how loud they get. Even after this high load, we barely can hear anything, but hey, I have to still run GTA 5 on this, and I can tell you guys, yesterday I played for like 1 hour. Yeah, at some point I was able to kind of hear them. It's very, very quiet, and I like it. We are going to proceed to 3D Mark. Yes, guys, 3D Mark for a PC. Hence, I'm going to show you Night Raid, where we have DirectX 12 test for PCs with integrated graphics. Because remember here, guys, we have the latest Intel integrated GPU with 24 execution units. And here, guys, I honestly hope that we're going to get better frame rate. And yeah, I know because I already tested it. But hey, now let's enjoy this Night Raid test together and later analyze the results. And yes, as you can see, this thing isn't a slideshow like the previous test, but still, we are not able to achieve the best FPS, guys. Again, this thing is not really meant to be for gaming, just a bit of a lightweight gaming in these emulations, but then again, I'm going to try to run GTA 5, which is a pretty much AAA title, although being 10 years old. And now some live FPS data, and it's well above 20 FPS, which isn't that bad, provided that this thing is running on my big 32 inches 4K screen, guys. So if you would like to use it with 1080p FHD output, probably gonna get better frame rates. And again, we're gonna be testing this with real games, but I still need to do the benchmarks and see what this box is capable of. And here we are already in the graphic test 2. Well above 26, 28, sometimes even more than 30 FPS. So just imagine, guys, like if this is what we get with 30 FPS, what is gonna happen when we try to boot up some emulators or try to play some old Windows and DOS games? And the answer is going to be in the video. And we're now engaging with the CPU test. Okay, let's see what is going to happen here. 4,894, the overall night rate score, the graphics score well above 5,317, and the CPU score 3,375. Let's check the detailed monitoring. This thing here is the FPS well aligned with the CPU temperature, the GPU load, and the CPU utilization. And also we can see the CPU clock frequency. In this section, we were running almost with a max clock of 3.6 GHz. The GPU load was 99%, the CPU 52 in terms of utilization, and we got almost like 30 FPS with a CPU temperature at 54 Celsius, which is just impressive considering the fact that we are only burning 15 watts maximum. Right now, all the cores are stabilized to like 44 Celsius, and you can see that in idle right now, we are using below 4 watts consumption. See here, guys, this is interesting, almost 17 watts while we are using 3D Mark. So this is the maximum value recorded by the hardware monitor. And I guess that at this time you are already a bit bored with benchmarks, but hey, let's do something different here. One last benchmark is going to be Geekbench, and this time I'm going to install it together with you because again, it's a mini PC, so I need to show you right all kind of things that you can do with this, how fast it is, let's say when you are downloading apps and you're trying to install them. Also, what about browsing, YouTube streaming, all of this of course later in the video. See, this was the Geekbench. Now let's check the file size, guys. This is the Windows version. So the installer is almost 300 megabytes and it installed fairly quickly. And again, I promise only this last benchmark, and then I'm going to show you what the Vista Mini PC is able to do if you use it as a regular desktop. So what is going to be the desktop experience? Let's start the CPU benchmark. I got 1213 on the single core score and 2837 on the multi-core score, and it's important to compare this against, let's say, the latest and greatest Snapdragon 888 by Qualcomm, which is, by the way, the latest and greatest chip built right now on a 3nm process, and this was my first result out of the box. So 2870 versus 1200 and 8000 on the multi-core score versus 2000. The Intel N150 is built on a 10nm process, and the mobile chip that I have here is built on a 3nm process, guys. So again, this is no comparison, but just to give you an idea about the raw performance that we are able to get from various devices. So now in this section, I want to give you the full tour of the desktop. Like, what can we do with this? And of course, the first thing I'm going to start is browsing, because yeah, a lot of people are doing browsing, and I'm going to use the Speedometer 3.0 test to assess the browsing capabilities. Why is this important? Because remember, a lot of people will buy this mini PC, right, just to use it as a lightweight desktop computer. But some people will buy it to do some work with it, right, even maybe code, because this thing has virtualization, hyper-threading, guys, so potentially you can install also your VMs and try to run code on this thing. It can be really used for multiple purposes, not just for a lightweight desktop system. And now I want to give you the tour the way I experience this machine. And the overall score that I'm getting here is 10.2. Here are all the details in terms of how we render JavaScript and Backbone and jQuery and etc. Let's go back to the summary and try to give you a bit of a perspective. Now, is this 10.2 good or bad? So here On the tech power up side, you can see, for example, an old machine running Windows 7 with 16 GB of RAM, and the machine is clocked at 4.5 GHz, right? Is, yeah, getting like 4.56. But let's say an M1 MacBook Air with Safari will get you almost like double the performance. And in fact, guys, there are people getting 8.71 with a Panasonic FZ55 Toughbook with i5 processor, guys. So again, this thing here is rather on the medium side, but it really promises some nice desktop experience. And speaking about this, I want to show you that I'm able to play 4K videos with HDR with 60 FPS on YouTube, or can I? Yeah, we're going to find out. All right, I've loaded up the video. I'm just going to mute the sound. I'm going to put it on the full screen so that we can experience what is happening. And see here down below, guys, it says HD, but I'm going to click on the quality toggle and I'm going to select 2160p 64K. So now, of course, it's going to take some time, and have in mind, guys, if you don't have a good internet connection, this might as well be also the bottleneck and buffer for a long time. Now, I have some nice Wi-Fi at home, but you can still see it's buffering because, again, this thing requires a lot of your bandwidth, and I'll show you something else later that I believe is quite interesting. So I'm gonna go full screen now. I'm going to click the right mouse button and I'm going to show the stats for nerds, because from here we are able to check the resolution. The current one, you can see it's 3840 by 2160, it's 60 FPS. We can also see here the colors and also how much frames we are dropping. I want to leave this video for a while to be able to estimate, but because again my connection isn't so good, I'm gonna show you what I'm going to do to remediate this. And I promise that you're gonna love this part. I'm gonna take the ACEMAGIC Vista mini PC. All right, this is a blue port here, USB 3.0. This is my charging cable for my Xiaomi device. I'm going to switch off my home Wi-Fi connection, guys, connecting straight to 5G. I'm going to plug the cable in the phone, and I'm going to use something called USB tethering. And this is so cool, guys. See, USB connected, check to tether. So right now I'm going to be using this as a modem for my mini PC. And how do I know this thing is going to work? Well, when I go here, I can see that I have a wired connection. And to be 100% sure, guys, I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi, and now we are connected via my phone to 5G. And I want to show you something really cool. This is the speed test so that you're gonna know what is gonna happen. I'm gonna click here, go. Now pay attention, guys. I'm warning you, this is going to be, yeah, actually not that bad, because I am already doing something like 350 Mbps. Why? Well, I'm only doing this to make sure that my internet connection is not going to be the bottleneck for playing a 4K video. How do I test this? I will go once again in the full screen. I will wait a bit for the stream to stabilize. Then we're gonna see, hey, are we still really able to get 60 FPS while playing this, or will my mini PC fail me and, yeah, lag or stutter? And from what I see right now on the screen, it does look quite nice. Remember, I'm also using HDR. Right, let's just explore this for a while, and then I have to show you some other videos because they are using different codecs. And yeah, you can observe here, we do have the statistics for nerds, so you can see we are dropping some frames, but not so much. And all these drop frames were before I switched from Wi-Fi to my USB Theta connection on the Xiaomi 15. And yep, now a bit of a more drops, right? Yes, it isn't stable all the time, and when I put it into a small screen, you can really see that it is 60 FPS. And because this is my desktop test, I want to see what happens when I just minimize it and drag it around, so you can see no lags whatsoever. I can also click here, guys, and yeah, click on a new desktop and end up with having another desktop. So let's say here I'm going to open the driver export folder. So now I have desktop 2, and from here, guys, I can click back to desktop 1. Let me maximize the browser again. I'm just going to open a new tab here. Well, here, guys, we do have some more examples, and this thing here, according to the description, should really use AV1 codec. So now it's HD. I'm gonna go here. I'm going to select again the highest resolution. Let's wait for the stream to stabilize. I can already go and click on the stats for nerds, and wow, yeah, now let's try to enjoy it. I'm gonna go, of course, and put it on a full screen, guys, because remember, I am using also 4K resolution, right? And the promise is that you should be able to watch 4K videos with 60 FPS with HDR, and from what I see on the screen right now, I can confirm this is the case, not only for streaming, but as we've seen before in the video, for local playback. Yes, there's gonna be some occasional frame drops, as we can see here, but connection speed is not a bottleneck anymore, and you can pretty much see that we have a healthy buffer, and we are able to observe all these nice color in a 4K crazy good resolution. And remember, guys, this all comes from this little thing here that weighs almost as much as my Samsung S24 Ultra with the case. By the way, it weighs exactly the same size. I'm not kidding. Just go and watch the first part of the video. It is very good. So YouTube and 4K is not a problem at all. I can now minimize the stream. Let's minimize the browser, right? It's still going to work quite nice. We can also go and choose some of the Windows 11 nice things that it's going to group your windows. It isn't the fastest experience for a desktop, but I would say it is quite acceptable. And if you watch 4K 60, it will take a toll on your CPU. And how do we know this? Well, you can see here, even in Task Manager, let me just double click. Let's go to the performance. We can see that the CPU is actually kind of being maxed out, but even not running on the highest available clock. But is it possible to watch 4K 60 HDR? Yes, it's absolutely possible. All right, now let's dive deep in our Office experience. And the first thing I'm gonna start, of course, is MS Word. So guys, let's start with some templates here. All right, let's say this is a nice one. We're downloading this online, okay, yep. So I just try to see what the performance will be, and from what I see right now, it ain't that bad, okay? So let's go and insert a picture. This is a nice bird. Okay, pictures, this device, I'm gonna go to the desktop, and I guess that's the bird. All right, we can insert it. Yeah, and it's going to work quite nice, by the way. You can see it's not a problem at all. We can also try to format it a bit. All right, just apply some shadows or some effects. So in terms of Word, I don't think it's going to be any issues, but let's see what happens with PowerPoint, because a lot of people out there to actually use this. So let's go for more themes. Psychedelic Vibrant. All right, this sounds about nice. We have to download this from the internet, and then, yeah, it loads like this. All right, we can add a new slide. We can go and try to format the slide. Let's just go for something like that. All right, now what I want to do is take the picture and put it here. All right, can we do absolutely anything we can? Yep. Yeah, and as you can see, it works quite okay. We do have, of course, also the Word running here. Now, can we do Word and the PowerPoint window by window? Yes, we can. All right, and this is one of the main benefits of using a 32-inch screen. So in terms of Word and PowerPoint, you don't have to expect any issues with the Vista Mini PC. What about Excel? All right, Excel is here as well. You can see how quick this loads, and by the way, we can also explore some templates online. So this is a personal budget, right? Can we just go and try to copy and paste this? We can of course do this. Let's just try to copy the whole sheet. I'm going to create a copy. It's there. All right. Yeah, I don't think that this is going to be a problem for the Intel N150. So for Office work, guys, you should be well suited with this. Let's check the temps. I am touching the device and it's slightly warm, guys, even not hot. So right now, what you can see again in idle mode is even below 4 watts, which is kind of impressive, and only 4 to 46 Celsius here on the course. But just try to hear something. You can, right? Because it's really very, very quiet. And now that we also did the Office work, it's just about time that I show you some games. And guys, I'm not going to show you some random games, some indie games. Yes, I'm gonna start straight away with GTA 5, because this thing is really huge. It's 100 of gigabytes, and it's, yeah, a AAA game. I understand, right? It's an old one, but hey, it's important to see if we can run apparently old games on a PC like like this. And to make things even better for us, I'm going to use the statistics here, so we can check the GPU usage and the core clock, by the way, the VRAM usage, no GPU temp sadly, also guys the GPU power, so we can see how much watts this thing is drawing. And remember, it's an integrated GPU, which yeah, kind of means that the CPU power is going to be the same. So right now, just starting the game, we're drawing about like 10-11 watts. We can see also that the RAM usage is rather high, 8 gigs, so it's kind of almost the half, because remember we do have 16 gigs inside. And here guys, you can check the FPS in real time, but also the average FPS. And to spice up things a bit and just make it more comfortable for me, I'm also going to map my Nintendo Pro Controller to the box directly, because the Vista Mini PC has also an integrated Bluetooth, so my controller is connected. Now guys, you need to know something. If you want to use the Nintendo Pro Controller, yep, with your Windows, nah, it's not gonna work straight out of the box, but luckily we have something called Better Joy. See here. Yep, and now I'm gonna go back inside the game, and I'll really hope that my controller is gonna work. Am I able to move? Yes, I am. Alright, it's time that we pump up the volume and see what we can do. Alright, so I'm doing a free spin for you guys, and you can see that I am already maxing 15 watts guys. And we can also see that the CPU clock is almost 3 gigahertz. But what about the settings guys? What settings am I using? Well, I'm gonna show you. Yes, believe it or not, but I'm running this game right now on full HD. It's 1920 by 1080p. Let's try to bring down the resolution to 720p. So I will now apply the changes guys. And let me show you also the other settings, because they do matter as well. And as you can see here, we are already using 720p. I'm going to just turn these settings on. All right. Usually when you manipulate settings, you can see the VRAM going up. Not in that case. So I'm just going to apply the changes, and now let's go back in the game. And yep, this is a whole other story. And as we can see, we are already at 30 FPS. And yes, this is a rather old game, but it's still a AAA game. So if you want to occasionally play old AAA games with the Vista Mini PC, I don't think that you're going to have any issues with this. Of course, if you're willing to take the lower resolution. Now have in mind, this is rather a big 32-inch screen, but you should be all set with something lower. All right, let's just see some action. Yep. Animations, and of course I'm wasted. The average FPS isn't that bad as well, so if you wonder how a game like GTA 5 will perform on a mini PC guys, then this is the answer. And yes, I do have full vibration support here on my Nintendo Pro, so I'm really loving it. And usually I would sacrifice even a bit more FPS to get a higher resolution guys, but I think 24 is already, yeah, kind of low, so I'll probably just keep it like this and try to play the game. And you can see what we can expect from GTA 5 running on the ACEMAGIC Vista PC. Alright, enough about this. Now I'm gonna show you some emulation, because I know that a lot of people will be particularly interested into emulating old games. And for that purposes, I'm going to show you RetroArch with some of the favorite games from my childhood. Okay, so let's start the Metal Slug here. We can also click on the window and just go for a full screen experience. I also try to map my controller to the game here. I hope it's gonna work. Yeah, I mean, pro tip, I know it's gonna work because I already tested this, so I can just put some credits guys. Let's try to start the game and let's see what is going to happen. Right, you can see here 60 FPS. All right, yep, I'm lucky to report that with RetroArch I'm absolutely able to play the game, and I also map my controller. Oh, here I go. I was able to clear level 1. As you can see, emulating SNK Neo Geo is not a problem at all, and I've loaded up some other systems that you can see here, and I'm gonna try some other games. Alright, let's start with 1944. This should be really a classic. Works like a charm, and now it's time to play a serious game. Alright, and I dumped all my bombs but just to be able to show you guys some nice and cool graphics. Alright, still a bit more? Okay, cool. You're not supposed to do this until you reach the boss level, but I just wanted you to get a good taste on the graphics. Still stable 60 FPS, 21% CPU usage, I don't think it's a problem. 51% GPU usage, guys. The emulation of various console generations should not be a big of an issue for the Vista Mini PC, guys. And if you want to relive your childhood memories and play Cadillac and dinosaurs, well, this might be the right machine for you. And pretty much everything that is based with Intel N150 or even the N100 or N97 should be able to get you the same sweet performance. As you can see, guys, this is not a problem at all. And yes, in this game I am having higher CPU usage, right? But still, GPU usage is doing almost nothing, and we are consuming circa 12 watts. Alright, now let's try to see if this thing is gonna work. Yeah, it does. Oh my god. And I do have here also a bigger gun. Yeah, no anymore. Yeah, I got the big gun here, and yes, this brings so memories when we used to spend a lot of coins on those games. Alright guys, I do believe this has been enough in terms of gaming, just to try to showcase that the Vista Mini PC is pretty capable of working with some old AAA titles, and most probably also with indie games, and emulation should not be that of an issue. Now, let's just see what happens here. Absolutely nothing, guys. We are now at like 10-11 watts, and we have 64 Celsius on the cores, but I'm not even able to hear this. Yeah, this is so quiet, guys. Yesterday, while I was playing GTA for like almost 1 hour, I was really able to just pick up some fan noise, but overall I'm very pleased with the performance. So this was my review of the ACEMAGIC Vista Mini PC with the Intel N150. It's available on Amazon for like 200 USD, and it's very important to know that I did spend some time to make sure that, yeah, there are no unpleasant surprises on this thing. If you have been watching my video, the first part is all about scanning this device and making sure that nothing really fishy, like malwares, it's pre-installed. My experience is that everything was really clean with this unit, so I really went up and set the Windows 11 Pro according to my needs. What is the recap, guys? In terms of browsing, in terms of streaming and YouTube 4K HDR 60 FPS, I didn't have any issues. Word processing, Excel, PowerPoint, all this should work absolutely seamless. And although you might think that for such a small thing you'll not have a fast desktop experience, well, my review showed that it's absolutely acceptable. Like, you will not notice any lags if you're doing standard desktop things. What about gaming? Yes, sure, this is not a gaming mini PC, but I was able to run GTA 5 at HD resolution at around like 30 FPS, which I believe is quite acceptable being a game that is so huge, although all. Also, emulation, not a problem at all, which only hints that with the integrated Intel GPU with 24 execution units, you should be good with emulating different console generations and also playing indie games or lightweight games, and why not even AAA games, maybe though not the most recent one. In terms of connectivity, guys, 2 USB ports, 3.2, very nice. The only thing I was missing is a USB-C port. It might have been good to just put a USB-C port at the back, but hey, we do have HDMI, we do have display ports, so I think still it's good that we have both HDMI and display port. Also, 2 more USB ports 2.0, a full LAN network connectivity port. This is 1 Gbps. So overall, the experience is quite pleasant. And what is the thing I like the most, besides the design that really has this nice metallic finish, is the fact that you can almost not hear this thing work. And remember from the unboxing, it also comes with a bracket, so you can use the Visa bracket to just mount it on your monitor. And yeah, don't notice you have a device there. I was using it with the Logitech Bluetooth dongle here, connecting both my mouse and my keyboard, and I also use Bluetooth to connect the Nintendo Pro Switch controller to play the game. So overall, my experience with this box is good. What is very important, guys, when you get those boxes, always make sure to scan what is on them, because again, there was this unpleasant surprise last year. Some of those boxes came with some malware pre-installed. The ACEMAGIC apologized, they even offer refunds and tried to tackle the whole story, and they said they will never do this again. Now, this is my first ACEMAGIC box. This thing looks clean to me, and I really hope that ACEMAGIC will stick to this. But again, remember, when you just buy something with an operating system pre-installed, make sure to always check what is inside. You have a lot of options, and most of them are even free or have a trial period, like Total AV, like the Bitdefender, like the Malwarebytes, and also the Microsoft Defender allows offline scanning. And you can also do what I did, just download the Kaspersky Rescue Disk image, put it on a USB stick with Rufus, and then scan all the partitions. But I do understand that a regular, or let's say an average user, will not really like to do those things. So that's why it's very important for the manufacturers like ACEMAGIC and everybody out there to provide a clean image, right? Because security is priority number one. We store so many things on those devices, then the consequences could be very unpleasant, not only for your online, but also for your offline life. So again, my advice is, guys, if you buy a mini box like this, make sure it's all set. I also gave you some tips on how to just dump all the drivers, get rid of the Windows here and put your own, right? And I will understand if you're lazy or just don't know how to do this, because it's not your job to know how to do this. These PCs should always come clean. To sum up my experience, I'm very happy with the ACEMAGIC Vista mini PC. I will probably keep this one for myself. I'm not sure, maybe a Plex server, maybe something else, or maybe just an emulation machine. Anyway, guys, if you have liked this video, just go and watch some of my other stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, VST over and bye.